And it's one of the key things of AI, and rightly so too, because my favorite thing is if you wouldn't put it on a billboard, then publicly, then please don't be using free tools, in AI with your public data.
Welcome to the People in Legal podcast. This is the Law and Beyond show, where we explore everything in this expanding universe that is law, technology, education and compliance, and academia. I'm your host, Chantal McNaught. I'm a PhD researcher researching how lawyers can navigate the conflicts between law as a profession and law as a business. I also author the fully automated luxury lawyer newsletter that you can find on LinkedIn and subscribe. And I'm very pleased to introduce our guest for today's show, Karrina Mountfort. Karrina is a founder. Karrina Mountfort. Karrina is the founder of Webbased AI and the AI Assembly. The AI Assembly is dedicated to making artificial intelligence accessible and practical for individuals and businesses, especially small and medium enterprise businesses in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Karrina excels at identifying business challenges and crafting AI solutions that integrate seamlessly with existing operations, turning administrative burdens into opportunities for growth. The AI Assembly reflects her commitment to building a supportive community in Aotearoa, New Zealand, offering clear learning pathways and fostering genuine connections around AI. Through collaboration and visionary leadership, Karrina is empowering New Zealanders to confidently harness AI and nurturing the next generation of talent. And we thank the AI Assembly for bringing us this episode. Welcome to the show, Karrina.
Gosh, thank you so much, Chantal. So excited to be here. What a wonderful introduction. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely my pleasure. And I'm so excited to have you on the show. It's been a little while coming since we first met, and I was at the launch of her AI and seeing the beginnings of the AI Assembly and how it's all developing with the hub. So, wow, you might be able to start with the origin stories, who is Karrina and web-based AI, and maybe how this idea of the AI Assembly came about.
Sure. Great question. So I've been in tech for a wee while, a couple of decades, doing all sorts of exciting things in that time, naturally, with the change of technology that we've seen in that time, which has been very exciting, able to be at that sort of innovative forefront of change of technology from, with Google, with the move to cloud, with the move to SaaS, with the move to all these exciting technologies. And so I've been able to help people sort of bring those technologies into their business and adapt and evolve those into systems that really help deliver those processes they have. And so as part of that, we've been working with AI sort of in what everybody believes to be AI at the moment, and all this sort of exciting technology around that for quite some time, according to what different clients' needs were. So when ChatGPT sort of burst onto the scene, it changed everything with how we were building things as well. So we wanted to take that out to people to be able to say, look, things are getting simpler, but in other ways, they're actually more complex, to make sure now you really need that data structure. So we help people with that a lot, just to clearly articulate that, get that across to actually how they can progress with this technology. So as inside that, the conversations I have with people all day, every day, are, I'm not sure what to do, I'm not sure where to get started, how to do this properly. And this ranges from all sorts of people that we work with, but also people that reach out to me due to my work that I do. So, students, employees, enterprise level employees, business owners, professional service people, just what does it mean and how do we get started and how do we do it properly? So there's only so many conversations I can have a day. I'm on the AI forum, got access to amazing people that are in this industry now, not just tech people, but also amazing professional services people working with this technology that are really open to sharing and sort of collaborating about this tech. So I was thinking, how do I bring all of the confused people that I talk to every day, because there's only so many conversations I can have, and align them with some of these people that are ready to share their knowledge, and sort of create a space that's open for these people to connect. So that's what I did. Everyone was like, yep, do it, it's great. So I thought, why not? I'll do it. So I've done it. Yeah, so that's sort of just a bit of a background behind it. And I'm so passionate to be able to share not just my knowledge, but the knowledge of all these amazing contributors that are playing their part of contributing back to educating other people. So how exciting is that?
It is, and it's so wonderful to see it ooze out of you, this excitement, this enthusiasm, you know, your experience from the before times, before ChatGPT, you know, and having that experience is really, really valuable, especially now that more and more within the business world generally are asking those really important questions. And I can absolutely be certain that that is what the legal and the legal tech industry, as well as academia, are asking. You know, these are the problems that we as humanity and our civilization are confronted with, which, yeah, we get a little bit existential on this show. So one of the things that I wanted to really start to drill down with your experience, Karina, because you have such an extensive breadth of experience across different kinds of industries, and because you have addressed those needs and have seen successful implementation of a whole swathe of technologies within, you know, certain workflows and that kind of thing. So I wanted to really dig into the meaty question here and find out from you what you think are the most underrated business challenges. So they're the ones that don't get the media attention, but are the real essential pieces that you end up having to repeat over and over again. And if you've got any war stories around that.
Yeah, I think the thing is to include people in your journey. That's the biggest thing we see with the, if it's not done, then a lot of the time this stuff can come from top down, and some of the people on the tools are the ones that are actually using it. So we say, you know, think about everybody in your team as a player, and actually sort of look at how this is going to implement them and actually play out. Because yeah, if they're not ready and they are not prepared to be part of it, and they're not going to use it, so no matter how much you implement, it's not necessarily going to actually happen. And the other thing is, I guess it's sort of like building a house, you know, it's always a little bit longer and a little bit harder than you think. And I think people start off thinking we're going to revolutionize everything we're doing, and then they start sort of moving through that, and the complexity can be quite overwhelming. So it's really exciting with the experience that I bring to be able to sort of move through that. And some of the, we've seen some really successful things and some really unsuccessful things. And I would say that the overarching theme is that the ones that are successful, in fact, I was working in a company yesterday, they had all their people around the table. They were like, how are we going to do this? Yes. What does this look like to you? How do we implement this? And, you know, that actually makes me really happy, because I know that these things that we're actually working with them are going to be successful. So I guess it's about, you know, there's always going to be another tool. There's always going to be something new. The tech's going to change, but your people are your fundamental. So if you can focus on that, find out what their processes are, find out where their problems are, and use those tools to empower them. Yeah, that's what I find.
That's really excellent. And it's so important for all leaders not to just say that they're bringing people along the ride. It's not an email. It's not a, hey, this is the decision and we're going live tomorrow. That story about how they brought all of the stakeholders to the table, and it literally is, it's about having those conversations of addressing the concern and the fear, because people do fear change. Like, that is an absolutely natural human response to have, especially with something that you can't control. I think when it comes to professional services and in business more generally, and you could probably speak more to this, but I think that people who are valued for their expertise and their knowledge, they're probably a lot more vulnerable to feeling like they've been blindsided by these technology projects that they don't get consulted on, and then they have to deal with the aftermath. So yeah, that's huge, and you're absolutely right. It is very common, and it requires more than just lip service.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So cool. So I really want to focus on the AI components too, because of course, you're building the AI assembly and the hub to share the knowledge. But something that I've noticed as well is a lot of the information that it's producing, that you've got on there with the checklists and the information, is around counteracting the insidiousness or the darker side of AI. And it's more than just hallucinations and bias, isn't it? So what are some of the key principles that you advocate for, and how would you recommend people, like obviously our audiences, lawyers and people in legal tech and those interested in those sorts of things, how would you recommend our listeners apply those practices that you develop? Or maybe I can help translate for them, but what are your key principles there?
So I guess the big thing, and especially for professional services, is really looking at the privacy and data protection around all of this knowledge. So this is one thing that so many people are really hesitant about, right? And it's one of the key things of AI, and rightly so too, because my favorite thing is, if you wouldn't put it on a billboard, then publicly, then please don't be using free tools, in AI with your public data. So I think it's really important, and this is again a real passion of mine, to actually get people to understand what it's doing, what is this technology from a very high level, and what is it actually taking from them in the first place, to then be informed to sort of move forward to be making those right decisions for themselves, but also their customers, right, and the data that they are entrusted with. So I guess that's the main thing that I really like to articulate. And then also just mitigating the sort of accountability and oversight of some of these sorts of things, or the mitigating the risks around them, to say, well, actually, it's not just going to know everything, right? So if you talk about your hallucinations and that sort of thing, you've got to get it to a point where it understands everything. So looking at who are accountable for these systems, and who are the humans that are going to be overlooking this, to be able to make sure that these outputs and things are justified, factual, not harmful in any way. So yeah, that's probably two of the things that I sort of focus on.
That's great, because a big issue is around that data point, and potentially data literacy, and how data is stored and processed, and what the implications are when it comes to privacy, are really good places for anyone working in knowledge, including lawyers, to start to consider. And if you don't have that sort of knowledge, there are plenty of resources out there beyond the traditional legal CPD type training. I know that LinkedIn Learning, for example, has a whole bunch of data and privacy education pieces, short videos. You can pick and choose, but at least a little bit can go a long way as far as understanding what data is, how cloud storage is different to on-premises storage, what data sovereignty actually means. And it isn't just restricted to those that are dealing with high net worth individuals across multiple different countries, or huge M&A projects, or multinational law firms. This is actually important for anyone that works with another human being. Correct. Because we're dealing with human data. And I'm so grateful you mentioned risk, because I think that these conversations, and bringing additional expertise and experience into the conversation of the legal universe is really helpful, because lawyers are really good at identifying legal risk. But when it comes to other forms of risk, it's a little bit more of a grey area. But an additional thing that I feel lawyers can start to fine tune their skills on in this, that's going to serve them well for the next few years, if not a decade, will be about understanding what risk management truly is. Like the risk table is not something that you find very common. A risk assessment has traditionally been outsourced in a legal context. So bringing that knowledge and experience in-house in that way of at least understanding that a critical risk that has a small, like a 5% chance of probability, will be treated differently to something that is medium risk with a high probability. And that's the sort of language I think that people will start to understand. And it's so great that they'll have people like you who already knows how to speak in that language to help educate and guide through this new era. So for those that are passionate about technology, do you have any advice that you've accumulated in your experience working in this area, helping loads of different people, about how to foster a genuine technology adoption and process improvement culture?
I think it's really about stopping and defining and starting with the why. Why are we actually doing this? We're not doing this because there's this new technology and we need it, right? So one thing, my first port of call is always, do you have FOMO? If you do, then we need to put that away and actually start from the fact of do you actually need this, right? So it's really about putting your processes first, not the technology. So really spending that time to understand what those processes are. The only businesses that we see successful, and this is a big statement, but it's true, the only businesses we see that are successful are ones that actually do this. So just stop, look at your processes. It's actually a great time to actually review everything. What I've been talking about for years is around people reviewing their data, reviewing their processes constantly anyway, as sometimes processes are sort of built around people that you have internally, and then those change each person you get. Really, your business should sort of build its own processes, and then your people apply those processes. So it's really having a look at, obviously with their flair, but for a business to be sustainable, you really need to have those mapped out. So it's a great time to take stock and say, right, we want to implement this exciting new technology. What are our processes and why do we need it? The other way we see people make sure they're successful in adoption of this is if they've done that. So we're working with someone at the moment who's actually got stuck into this CRM that doesn't work for them because they didn't have any of this mapped out. So they didn't know what questions to ask this vendor before they went and selected it. So now they're saying to me, can we change it? I was like, well, that's a big process to go through. So now we're just looking at mapping all those things out, looking at what that is, and really starting with that first is one of the leading things that can make sure that it is successful.
That is gold. Going from the why, it's so interesting how there is certain advice out there that when you listen for it, it's just the universe just keeps repeating it. And starting with the why is so much. I know that Simon Sinek, really, I think it's almost 2 decades ago now, where he did that TED talk where he goes, start with the why, which was all about your career development. And that is just encapsulates everything that we do. If there is meaning for what we do, then we will find a way to do it. And that's effectively what you're saying there is, rather than being led by the FOMO, seeing your friends who also own a similar business down the road, down the hallway, implement a specific tech, and now you want to have that tech. because it's like keeping up with the Joneses.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, actually looking internally and going, what is it that I need? What am I finding deficient in myself that makes me look over to across the road, and then seeking help. I don't think there's anything wrong with asking for help, especially when mapping out a process. And I hope it's okay. I'm going to share a little story about my own self when I did some contract management, because in my very crazy career of all things the legal universe, one of the things that I did was help open up a live music venue, specifically a jazz bar. Now, it wasn't something that I had set out to achieve. It just so happened that the serendipity of the situation was I worked for this law firm, and the law firm was very successful, and the owner was so passionate. His why was to set up a jazz bar. Like, that was his life's mission, and he finally had the financial means to do that. And I was working in the marketing team at that time, because I was slowly transitioning out of legal practice. And he's like, you're in the marketing team, all the marketing team's going to help me open up this jazz bar. And through that process, I was also, because I was legally trained, then managing the contracts for the musicians. Now, I didn't know contract management software existed at the time. So I had a spreadsheet, and I created a very rudimentary process to help me manage where all of the contracts were, what writers they had, what times they were coming in. And it wasn't that particularly great, but because I had built it, I had put my soul, my ego in it.
Yeah. Mm.
And then when we hired an additional person who was a law clerk, and so her role was split between the law firm and the jazz bar, and so the work got redelegated out of my remit and given to her. And the first thing that she said, and by that point I was a few years senior as far as like the legal PQE is concerned, is, well, this is a really crap process. I'm going to completely change everything. And that hurt. Like, I did not respond in a very professional way, if I'm being quite honest. And you're nodding away, because I'm sure, like, this I've seen, subsequent in my legal tech career, I've seen many, many times, because the processes are so personal. They become an extension of who we are because we create them. But that was the mistake that I made. I forgot that it was just a way for me to do my work, and that it's all changeable. Yeah. So
Yeah, it is, right? And you do something different than somebody else, and yeah, so it's really hard to sort of, as a business, be sustainable like that or scalable when you're sort of relying on someone's passion project and the way that they process things, if you like, in that overview that you've just given. So one other little tip I want to just add in there is start small too. Like we see sometimes we go in and people are, and we want to do this and this and this and this, and that's not really ever successful. That's like just trying to renovate your house and do the landscaping and everything at the same time, right? Just so what we say is, you learn through the process of starting small too. So when you start out and you achieve something, you mature a bit digitally or with whatever technology it is. So then next time what to do and what not to do, right? But if you start too many things at once with these projects, then you kind of learn across each, and it diversifies, and it's never successful really. So start small, especially with regards to the new AI technology, and just move up that scale, and you will mature with that and be able to make sure that those the adoption of that is successful.
It's really great advice. And it doesn't have to mean saying no to those things that you want. You can still put them down. But it reminds me of that saying, a goal without a plan is just a wish. That the planning process is starting by that small, you wouldn't completely renovate everything, including doing your landscaping and adding a new level to your house and repainting and all of that. You would start one room at a time with the ultimate goal of having it all done over a longer period of time. But you are going to learn as you go, as you do those little parts, but you're not going to end up making huge whole system mistakes. So it's beautiful advice that only comes from great experience. Looking ahead, do you have any positive, exciting trends that you see in this developing world of AI in our society and in business?
I think I'm really excited about the ability for people to get back to being people. And so I try to say, how do we take some of this burden off you that you feel each day with some of these administrative tasks that you probably shouldn't really be doing, right? It's just because it's how it's always been done. So I'm really excited about the ability for people to be people again and actually do the job that they trained for. You know, our data analysts that we've been working with recently didn't train to be in a spreadsheet cleaning data all the time, right? They train to actually look at this amazing data and help grow a business from that. So I think I'm really excited about that, about giving people back their ability to be what they wanted to be, but also the way that this technology allows other people to be part of industries they may not have had the chance to before. So, you know, it can actually be a thought partner, it can articulate things, it can help them learn in different ways to be able to advance themselves more too. So I'm really excited about that part of it. Sure, there's, you know, bits that are not so great as well, but there is with anything. I like to focus on the parts that will allow us to do good things and bring good things into our lives.
Oh, and I am so excited. Your energy and the motivation and the passion is just so infectious. So thank you so much. One of the things that we do on this show is I've got these conversation cards and they're random questions, lovely, beautiful things. I do a terrible job at shuffling them so everybody knows that they are random and they're just a really quick thing. What are you looking forward to in the future? I think you just answered it.
I think you did, yeah. Honestly, I've been in this space for a long time, knowing some of these things, you know, on how to do things efficiently that maybe other people didn't, but also for us, this new technology changes things. So I'm just looking forward to other people adopting this and being able to be a bit more sustainable with regards to how their businesses run, a bit more scalable, and hopefully, allowing good things to happen going forward.
Fantastic. Well, I'm very excited for the future and we're in great, capable hands with you, Karina, the Web-based AI team and the AI Assembly. Thank you so much for our listeners as well. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please consider leaving a review and sharing it with a friend as it helps us get more visibility and sharing among people who might be interested in the show. Thanks so much.